constantly on this podcast, from the day we started this podcast, constantly I've been talking about health. Because when I started this podcast, I was in a kasto samayma thiye bhane ma chahi I'd just taken a break from smoking cigarettes. ठ्याक्क त्यो हुन्छ नि त्यो एउटा त्यो ठ्याक्क त्यो फेजमा थिएँ अनि we talked about health and we talked about हुन्छ नि anti-smoking for a long time in the beginning phases of this podcast. I believe in 2020 हुन्छ नि हामीले धेरै कुरा गर्यो हैन अनि obviously once you start reading about it, you're like, okay, हुन्छ नि now your heart must be better now. हैन 2-4 वर्ष चुरोट खान छोडिसकेपछि त अलिकति बेटरै होला नि भनेर सोचिँदै रहेछ हैन अनि then we constantly started talking about health, but I didn't know that 1 in 100 might have a heart problem. I didn't know that at all.
You mean the congenital part?
Yeah.
Janmajatko huncha. So there's a big spectrum.
Yeah.
So I think it's important, and I think this is a great forum that you took this up because like it brings awareness. Basically, what we are trying to do is make people aware.
I'll ask you this straight up. Smoke when you're doing surgery and if there's a smoker, will you know that this person is a smoker?
So I screen them before.
Yeah.
I mean, the lungs can be bad. So basically, I think to make it maybe answer it more easily for you.
In layman's term,
in Nepal, when you see the lungs, you can look and say that, okay, this is a pristine lung as opposed to a more exposed. In Nepal, there is that few things there's air pollution. And then our air pollution are two. So you may be a smoker and that's why you've had it. But in the villages, there are people who use the chulo use garsanta. So that's another big factor. So, but yes, coming back to it, if you look at the lungs and you can make out like, okay, this person maybe has a little bit more of a worry something as compared to someone whose lung is more pristine.
I want to stick with the smoking factor right now. Majority of the people smoke in our country. In a sense, young people, they do smoke. Okay. I think. I don't have the data. We don't have the data. But again, majority of the young people at least have tried smoking. How big of a deal is it actually? Of course, you smoke, you're screwed. When it comes to hearts, how much does it affect your heart?
Definitely. It's one of the major, like high blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol, smoking, alcohol. Lifestyle.
Oh, okay.
So that's one already there.
Smoke is already
there. And then the longer duration you smoke, the more you smoke, all these things come into play.
Wow. Secretly, like if you had to describe it, how does it directly affect your heart?
So it has the nicotine ko bhayo, you're basically one is because you're smoking the dust or whatever the particles, your lungs is affected, so you can have lung diseases, which the heart and the lung is very closely related in how they function. And then second thing is the arteries or blood vessel harden hun thalcha ki. So even your mutuko blood vessels can harden. And then they'll cause blockages.
We've heard about it.
Or even like kuta, if I don't know whether they walk and they have leg pain, kuta duksa hirnai सक्दिन हैन त्यो कहिलेकाहीँ त्यो बिग स्मोकर्सहरुकोमा चाहिँ त्यो खुट्टाको ब्लड भेसल्सहरु पनि त्यो ब्लक हुँदै जान्छ कि so then you cannot function ni
खुट्टाको blood vessels are opening because of smoking.
So the principle is the same. So what you mentioned a little bit about stroke is the same risk factors. So these are all related.
Wow.
This program is brought to you by Vyas Studios.
Thank you very much for supporting the podcast so far. And if you want to see more content, more shows, then make sure that you subscribe to our channel.